Hey, I've been thinking about doing this video about dating in Barbados, and right now I'm in the car park waiting to pick up my brother who's coming in from Panama. So I decided to go ahead and, without any preparation, just talk about dating in Barbados as a gay man. It sucks. And it sucks because there are no places where you can meet people in person, really. There are no clubs, there are no bars that have the identifying markers like the rainbow flag. And literally one bar that I know attracts a certain quality of person. Maybe because of the location, it's in the city, and it's a mix of sex workers, of down low men, and it was a pretty frustrating experience. It only added to my limerence, my tendency to create a fantasy in my head about emotionally unavailable men, usually black men, which has never come to fruition, really. So, no places to meet in person. What do people do then? They meet on platforms. I say platforms, but I mean the platform, Grindr. And that experience also was an extremely frustrating one for me, because I think the homophobic atmosphere in Barbados makes people prefer the anonymity of Grindr. However, anonymity results in a lack of accountability, which then results in bad behaviors like ghosting, or people are fickle, they don't follow through on meeting up because there's a seemingly endless number of people to meet, and there's always going to be a better body, and well, no ands, that's it. So I left the platform over a year ago, but what will happen is I'll get horny, download the app, because basically in an atmosphere like Barbados's, where there are no places where you can meet up with a friend just to hang out for a drink or for some conversation, because whenever two men are together in certain types of scenarios, they immediately become suspects. So two men sitting down at a restaurant having dinner might draw attention, right? Or even two men at a bar sometimes, depending upon the men, how they present, yeah? So Grindr, everything's distilled into sexual desire, because people don't think that there are alternatives. And when you meet up, there's a desire, I think, for escape as well, and there's a desire for pleasure, and it has to be quick, and it has to be hidden. So that ends up being the sexual act, right? And when you heal, which I think I'm healing, the more I heal, the less I want that. I want to reduce encounters to sex. I want to get to know people. I want people to know me. I think that there's much more to any kind of relationship than sex, right? And so it's a pretty sad. I used to feel extremely desperate, and I feel that living in this kind of atmosphere lends to that, so that when you meet somebody, the tendency is to then create the fantasy that I talked about, because especially if the person is vaguely different from the people that you usually meet, right? So I still have this tendency to meet someone, and when they're extremely likable, create a fantasy world, because ultimately you really don't know someone until you've spent a lot of time with them. And so actually that's happening right now. I've met somebody who's really cool, really funny, and I'm really fighting the desire to fall in love with a fantasy that I've created about him. So I'm managing that, not being too intense and putting my focus elsewhere. Luckily, a lot is going on at the same time, so it's not much of a struggle to put my focus elsewhere. Anyhow, yeah, so there's no real dating in Barbados. People no longer meet in real life. Before the internet, it used to be the beaches maybe, or you'd see someone as you move through the world, this world here in Barbados, and they would look back, you'd look back, and then you'd strike up a conversation. But that doesn't happen because everyone's looking at their phones.